Hi, everybody. My name is Adam Cohen. I'm the Vice President of Broadcasting for NCMA Boston. Welcome back to yet another one of our March Workshop Meet the Speaker series. These are a little bit shorter than what you all are used to if you've listened to anything else that we've done here before. Today, I'm joined by Russ Blaine from Raytheon, and his session is called We Can Work It Out. Thoughts on improving government and industry communication. As I was joking with Russ before, you just picked one of the harder topics. I'm only kidding. How's it going, Russ?
It's going very well, Adam. Thanks for hosting, and thanks for inviting me into chat for a few minutes. I appreciate it.
Of course. So let's get to something very basic. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a 30-plus year veteran of this business, Adam. Those numbers start adding up after a while and get a little scary after a while. But one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this is I've lived on both sides of the fence for a number of years. I'm an Air Force veteran. Retired in 2009. The bulk of my career was spent in defense contracting. I've held a number of positions, actually retired out of the local area. I was the director of contracting and chief of staff down at the former Electronic Systems Center at Hanscom Air Force Base. So I've got, 2 assignments at Hanscom, fond memories of Hanscom. But I've spent time at the Pentagon. I've spent time with DCMA. I've spent time in a number of other, we call it acquisition mecca out at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Working reconnaissance systems. So very fond memories of Air Force. It's always tough to take off the blue. We don't move that far away from our roots. And I've spent the last 10 years, coming up on more than that, since 2009, coming up on 15 years in industry. I've been with a couple of large businesses, including the one I'm with right now, RTX, formerly Raytheon Technologies, as well as a company that was acquired by KBR. Formerly known as Wiley. I've also spent some time with a woman-owned small business. So I'm familiar with a number of different angles and perspectives in this business. And one of the reasons why I'm fairly interested in this subject matter and topic.
For sure. So speaking about that, what got you into your field?
What got me into the field? I went into college back in 1980. Came out of college in 1984. Went into through ROTC, went into the Air Force, and actually worked with weapon systems for the first few years. I worked with ICBM missiles. I was one of those guys that lived 90 feet underground out in South Dakota. The guys that they see had the hand on keys. And we were so successful with the Cold War that when we decided to shut down some of those systems, they gave a number of us opportunities to go into other, to see other parts of the Air Force. And I opted to go into contracting. And that's how I actually got into it. I got into it in 1992. My first year in contracting was actually spent with what was then Lockheed Sanders up in Nashua, New Hampshire. It's now BAE Systems.
Yeah,
that's where I first got exposed to defense contracting. My first assignment after that was down at Hanscom.
There you go.
So I got into it by choice. I know a lot of people say that there really is no rhyme or reason to how people get into contracts. Mine was by choice. But, again, it was something that was sort of offered to us as an alternative to other choices, within the Air Force. And I really had no regrets. It was a wise decision, I think, in hindsight. At the time, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. But I'm very pleased that I made a decision and did it. It was a good choice.
Excellent. So what interests you about this topic that you're presenting on?
Because it's the bane of all our existences. I want to say poor communication or lack of communication, and there's so much of it that is just based on certain mindsets that we hold, and certain priorities we become beholden to and stuck on, and it precludes us from sort of standing back sometimes and realizing that with good communication, there's a lot of improvement that we can see in what we do in this craft, this business of ours we call procurement or contracts management. Okay. And as I say, I've seen it from several different angles now. And, once you get to a certain point, you say, if only we could do that. Well, I'm finally at that position where I can, I think, offer some of those recommendations where, it's not futile. It's not impossible to make recommendations. There are certain things that are at our controls at a very operational and tactical level that we can do. There are a number of things that I think at times we stand back and we look at the grand strategic level and we say, well, that's just futile. People aren't listening, or how are we going to make that happen? And we get frustrated. But there really are localized, operational, tactical things that every contracts manager can do. You know,
Mhm.
you don't need a broad toolkit. I think it's more about mindset. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit when we get in. So I will
Perfect.
actually, during the lesson, I'll actually talk a little bit about some of the grand strategic initiatives that have been put in place over the years. We'll talk a little bit about whether those could be deemed, successful or not, and what they've done for our business. But I'll actually work it down more to the local level, and I'll share some things with you that I thought might work when I was a government contracting officer, and again, may have or may have not worked, as well as things I now see in my role as an industry professional going on 15 years that really do influence industry to listen, to communicate, to participate. We hear a lot about emerging challenges, new technology that are available to us, the need to engage non-traditionals, the immense threat posed to us by the nefarious actors out there, potential conflicts, which is, we hear about all of these types of things, and yet we rarely sit down and talk about how it influences us, how it affects us, from both sides of the fence, and what we can do about it. I
Yep.
think a lot of us at some point in our business tend to regress back to, I'm just going to put it in the contract. The contract speaks for itself. There it is. It's in the contract. But I've got to tell you, over the years, I've seen perfectly written contracts that went amazingly awry. And I've seen horribly written contracts, almost literally on the back of napkins, that were flawlessly executed because people had good communication and a good willingness to work with each other. So
Excellent.
I hope to point out some of the lessons that I've learned over time, as well as, like I say, some practical applications, things that every person can do to help move their business forward and improve their probability of having a successful outcome with their contracts.
Excellent. Well, that kind of like that could combine two of my questions. Then what can people expect to learn
I'm
during
here
the
for
event?
efficiency. I'm here for efficiency.
Efficiency works, and
That's
and
what I'm
that's what
here
you
for,
all
Adam.
can expect.
We're improving communication, right? That's what we're here for.
Exactly. And that's what you
So
all expect out there. You can learn from if you come to this session during the March workshop. Russ, is there anything else you want to share before I go ahead and plug the workshop?
I am a big fan. I'll even help you plug the workshop. I'm a big fan of NCMA. I've been part of it for close to 30 years as well, both at the local level. I've been parts of a half a dozen different chapters, president of chapter, president of the national NCMA. I love NCMA and what it does for people. And what's most appealing about it is this concept of neutrality, allowing us to come together and speak about issues in an open forum. No controversy, no pointing fingers at each other, just discussing challenges and trying to come up with ways of making our lives better and making things better for the warfighter.
Excellent. The NCMA, well, Russ, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to be able to do this interview. I look forward to seeing you at the March workshop. And speaking of the workshop, registration for the in-person event is closing soon. We are almost at max capacity, Russ, and we're not even like we're just about to hit mid-February as we're recording this, and we've already
Awesome.
almost maxed out the capacity at Bentley. So time is still available. If you're listening to this early enough, go register. And if not, free capacity to join us online to view any of the sessions that you want to go to virtually. We have that option for you as well. Head over to ncmaboston.org for all the details. Russ, thanks for joining me, and we'll see you all at the March workshop.
Thank you, Adam.